In section 20, we're going to determine whether the graph of a polynomial function will be above or below the x-axis over a particular interval, sketch a polynomial function, and then examine the impact of complex zeros on the graph of a polynomial function. So for this particular part in the entrance lip, we give you x equals 0. Now, typically, this would be part of an interval. So an interval is a space between two x values. So for the x equals 0, we could say that our interval is between -4 and 7. You would pick x equals 0. So for each of these questions, 1 through 5, we're going to try and go through these as quickly as possible. So we're going to figure out just if it's positive or negative when we're plugging in this value. So for number 1, when I plug in the 0 into x, is that going to be a positive or negative number? Positive. When I plug in the 0 for x, is that going to be a positive or negative number? Well, every time that you square something, that's important. Every time that you square something, it's always going to end up being positive. When we plug in the 0 into x, x minus 9, negative. 0 minus 17, negative. So then we get down to this last question, number 5. When we're plugging in 0 into each of these, we're going to get a positive number, negative, negative. Now, above it's all separated by parentheses, which just means multiplication. So I'm going to multiply a positive times a positive is positive, times a negative, negative. Negative times a positive number is always going to be positive. So therefore my answer is positive. This section, if this is for numbers 13 through 23, when you look at the practice set, okay, they give you a particular interval and you're going to look and figure out, is that positive or negative? And all you have to do is write plus or minus or circle positive or negative. Now for the rest of the lesson, we're going to be graphing and we're going to be sketching a rough graph of what each of these functions look like. So the first thing that you're going to do when you're going through each of these problems, the first step is to plot your x. So when I plot the x, we're going to plot the zeros. Okay, so we're going to find each of the zeros and we're going to plot them on the x-axis. So starting with x plus 4. So if we set x plus 4 equal to 0, we get x equals -4. So I'm going to take -4 and plot it. Then we go to x plus 1. So, or x minus 1. Which means that we have x equals +1. And then we can go ahead and plot. Finally, we have x minus 5. So therefore, set that equal to 0. We have x equals 5. We're going to go ahead and plot that. Okay, so now we just plotted all of the zeros on the x-axis. Step number 2 is to find the leading coefficient. If it is a positive leading coefficient on your graph, you're going to be putting in the positive direction an up arrow. So that's the end of the graph. The end of the graph is always going to go in the positive direction if the leading coefficient is positive. However, if the leading coefficient is negative on this graph, you're going to put a downward arrow. And the lines that I just drew would be how you would get to the rest of the graph. So on here, we have x times x times x, which is 1x cubed, which means that my leading coefficient is positive. So therefore, I'm going to put an up arrow. Then we just have to connect the dots. So we're going to go from the arrow through my red dot, through the pink dot, and through the orange dot. And this is a rough sketch of this function, f of x equals x plus 4 times x minus 1 times x minus 5. Let's try another problem. So in number 2, we have x plus 6 squared. They already factored this for us. So we have x equals -6. Now, because of the fact that it's squared right here, that would be an example of a double zero. So I'm going to go ahead and plot -6. And above -6, I'm going to put a D to represent that it's a double zero. And then I'm going to go again to x plus 2 squared. So we have x equals -2. From here, check it out. It's another squared, so I'm going to put a D underneath and a D when I plot it. And then we have x minus 4, which means that we have x equals +4. All right, so these are my 3 points on the x-axis. From here, I'm going to figure out what my leading coefficient is. So we have x squared, and x. It should be 1x to the power of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My leading coefficient is a positive number, which means that we're going to end positive, end up. So now I'm going to draw and connect my blue. From here, I'm going to go to the purple. Now, because it's a double zero, as we talked about in section 19, double zeros touch but don't go over the graph. So I'm going to continue going underneath. I'm going to touch my teal point. And because it's another double zero, I can't go over the x-axis, so we're going to stay under. And this is a rough sketch of this graph. Go ahead and try numbers 3 and 4 and pause the video. In number 3, this is the graph of what your number 3 should look like. So we have a double zero at 2, and then we plotted -3 and then +5. From here, my leading coefficient was a positive number because we have x squared, x, and x. So it's the highest degree in each parenthesis. So we have 1x to the 4th. So we started positive, and then we dropped down through the teal. At the green, we touch but don't go over, and then we go through that lime green. And again, we'll go ahead and check our answer to number 4. My answer to number 4, we went ahead and plotted 4, -3, 8, and -6. And after that, my leading coefficient was a positive number because the degree was 4. Now remember from section 19, we talked about whatever the degree is, that matches how many times my graph will touch the x-axis. And my leading coefficient for both of these was 4. However, in this number 3, we had a double zero right here, which we notated with that D. And then in number 4, you can clearly see that it touched the x-axis 4 times. Now, because of the degree as being an even number in 3 and 4, notice that they're both ending, both of my arrows are going in the same direction. For number 2, we had an odd degree, and we have opposite directions that the arrows are going. And that was the same thing in number 1. My degree is negative, and my arrows are going in opposite directions. So that's just a key feature of the graph. Let's take a look at some other parts of the graph that we're going to use. So for number 5, check it out. We start with x. Well, I can separately set x equal to 0, and then we get that x equals 0. So I'm going to go ahead and put a point at x equals 0. So we're actually plotting that one. For the next one, we have x plus 6. We have x equals -6. Let's go ahead and plot -6. Put a point there. The next one, we have x plus 3, which means that we have x equals -3. So I'm going to go ahead and put a point there at -3. And then finally, we have x minus 4. So when I do x equals 4 and plot this, we have to put a D above it because it's a double zero. So check it out. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 points technically. Let's figure out what our leading coefficient is. So we have x times x times x, and then we have x squared. So we have 1x to the power of 5, which means that my leading coefficient is a positive number. So we're going to go ahead and put an up arrow. So now I'm going to go and touch the lime green, but I'm not going to go over because it's a double zero. Touch the pink. Now I can go under. Red, I'm going to go over, and then the orange, I'm going to go through. So they're ending in opposite directions, which is perfect because we have an odd degree. My leading coefficient was positive, so we're ending positive. For number 6, same idea. So we have x squared. So I'm going to write down x equals 0. However, this is a double zero because of the squared right here. So at 0, I'm going to go ahead and put a point, and we're going to have a little d. Then we have x plus 7. So we're going to write out x equals -7. And I'm going to go ahead and put a plot, a point at -7. Then we have x plus 3, which means that we have x equals negative 3. We can put a point at negative 3. And then last but not least, we have x minus 4, which means that we have x equals positive 4. And finally, my last point is going to go at 4. So the next thing that we're going to do is figure out what the degree is and the leading coefficient, of course. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I know it's going to be x to the fifth. 1 times 1 times 1 times 1, and we have 1x to the power of 5. So my leading coefficient is going to be a positive number, which means that I'm going to end positive. I'm going to go ahead and go through my blue. When I touch the purple, we can't go over the purple because it's a double zero, so I'm going to stay under. I'm going to go through the green and then again through the teal, and that's the graph. Now in this next part, it says the impact of complex zeros on the graph. It says, well, complex zeros will impact the location of vertical coordinates. Calculus is required to determine the impact. For this course, you can ignore the complex zeros in the development of your graph. So that just means that everything that we've been doing, we're going to continue to do. So we're going to ignore those complex zeros. So how do we find a complex zero? We can use b squared minus 4ac, and remember, we're going to get a negative number, a negative result. A negative result means that we have a complex or imaginary number. So let's take a look at number 7. We're actually going to have to factor this. So we're going to start with x equals 3. We're going to put a point at 3. Then I have x squared minus 5x minus 6. We have two numbers that multiply to negative 6, but combine to negative 5. If you're thinking negative 6 and positive 1, you are correct. Take it a step further, x minus 6 equals 0, therefore x equals 6. We have x plus 1 equals 0, therefore x equals negative 1. So I'm going to go ahead and put a point at 6, and then a point at negative 1. Last but not least, we have x squared minus x plus 4. So we need two numbers that multiply to 4 but combine to negative 1, which is not possible. So I'm going to use the discriminant to figure out if this is a complex number. If not, then I can actually graph it. So you have negative b, or we have negative 1 squared, so b squared minus 4 times a times c. So we have 1 minus 16, so it's a negative number, which means that I can put an I right there. It's going to be imaginary complex, so we don't have to graph it. It is going to impact the direction of where we're ending, so we're going to figure out we have x times x squared times another x squared, so we have 1x to the power of 5. So my leading coefficient is a positive number, so that means that it's going to end in a positive direction. We didn't have any double zeros, so we're going to go ahead and go through the graph. Now, the impact that the complex zeros has affects where these humps are, but that's it. For number 8, this will be the last problem that we do. So for number 8, we're going to go ahead and factor this. So I need two numbers that multiply to negative 8 and combine to 2. If you're thinking of positive 4 and negative 2, you are correct. Therefore, we have x equals negative 4, and we have x equals positive 2. So we're going to go ahead and put points at negative 4 and positive 2. Next, we have x squared plus 4x. Now, since there's two terms, I'm going to GCF. So I can take out an x. So we have, in parentheses, x plus 4. With x, I'm going to set that equal to 0. So I'm going to plot that, x equals 0. And then we have x plus 4. So I'm going to separately set that equal to 0. So we have x equals negative 4. We'll check it out. We already have x minus 4. So there's two of them, which means that now that becomes a double 0. And then finally, we have x squared minus x plus 1. We're going to go ahead and figure out, are there two numbers that multiply to 1 but combine to negative 1? And there's not, which we actually figured out the other day when we learned section 19. This is going to be an imaginary number. Last but not least, we have x squared times x squared times x squared, which is 1x to the 6th power. My leading coefficient is positive. We're going to end going up. As I touch the green, we're not going to go over because it's double, and this is my final answer. So we just added factoring onto this, but most of your graphs will look like the